It's a Bitcoin podcast. The only one that's making your money is you. Listen to the Bitcoin podcast. So hold on and listen to the Bitcoin podcast.
It's such a good intro. Like I could be in the worst mood ever and hear that, and I'm like, I'm no longer in a bad mood.
That's good.
Everything is great. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Long time.
I've been super busy with a bunch of other stuff that's not like work, like personal stuff.
Yeah, man. Tell me about it. I'm looking for a rig to go camping this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Trying to disconnect DC from life.
I don't do that kind of camping, bro. I do.
You do glamping or car camping, where you're at a like you're not really away from convenience. You're just like surface level away from convenience. You're around some trees.
Yeah, I don't have a roof. That's it. That's the only thing. That's the only thing missing. Right? Like I'm not doing that. Last time I got a tick.
Whoa.
My dog had a tick. Yeah, I know, right? Ticks are not cool, and I had one.
I had a lot of ticks.
Really?
Yeah, I've had a lot of ticks.
Had one near your bowels.
Yeah.
That happened to me. Yeah. And
I used to go to my grandparents in Georgia. Finding that was scary.
I started questioning my decisions. I was doing there was like a whole history of sexual activity, like a decade's worth, because I didn't know what it was at first. I was like, what's going on here? And then finally I had to just get into a very contorted position and figure out what the hell was going on. I was like, oh my God, no way. And then I took the tweezers and took care of it, but it was bad. Anyways, welcome to the Bitcoin podcast, everybody. Listen to the show. I'm the first host that talks first, Dee.
I am the second host, Dr. Corey Petty.
And I'm the third host, Jesse Broke.
Oh shit, Corey's bringing in the bass this week. Did you hear that?
Am I?
No, Jesse is. He was like, I said he's bringing in the bass. Jesse's bringing in the bass.
Yeah,
hey,
the microphone's off a little further away than I normally have it because we're going to do an unboxing today.
Wow. I told Jesse he had a groupie before the show, and now he's putting some bass in his voice, getting ready, trying to make the
voice modulation,
trying to make the groupies happy.
It's also the group plus Lattice1. So if you're looking at the text at the bottom right, that's Lattice1, not Lattice
Yeah, so
we'll fix that sometime during the day.
We're about to do an unboxing, probably the best unboxing you'll ever see in your life. It's on par up there with that one unboxer guy.
Remember when I did an unboxing of the Pine phone? Yeah, I have a Pine phone. Mm-hmm. I think I don't know if that was a part of the podcast. I just did it because I have one. Mm-hmm. I've never used it.
Did you ever use it afterward then?
No, it's not that good.
Oh, okay.
I tried it. It was annoying. I stopped. But yeah, I got so we can just moving on.
Yeah, man. Take it away. Here's an unboxing presented by the Bitcoin podcast.
Yeah. You're just basically going to watch me unbox this thing and talk about it. And then we'll move over to the roundtable after that.
Mm-hmm.
And you. And you.
All right. Live.
Here we go. No, not you. You.
You can put me up there.
Stop it. Okay, Alicia, you do it. I'll let the producer do what she's supposed to do. Yeah, so I got it right here in front of me. Grid Plus Lattice1 and some safeguards. For those that don't know, the Grid Plus or the Lattice1 is a hardware security module. So basically it's a hardware wallet on crack. This we're just going to get into, we'll go over kind of what it is, and then I'll start unboxing it. So this is like these are little Java cards. Here's a bunch of Java cards that I have here because Status makes the key card, which is a very similar implementation. In fact, they got the basis of how they do their safeguards from our open source code for the key cards. So they operate very, Similar thing. So these are where your keys are stored more often than not and backed up, which will then plug into this thing. And this has a big old display and a bunch of security features. So I think it's best if we just start off with like,
I love this.
not unboxing it, but maybe going through this part. So you see it here. We can just kind of go through.
That
the
is
actual-
big.
We're looking at the future, Jesse. This shit's
Yeah, man.
awesome.
This
I
looks
love it.
like laptops or like car phones back in like the 80s.
Car phones. Oh.
Oh yeah.
It's Lattice safeguards. Let's go to the Lattice.
Is it really that big?
And it's, I mean, this is a pocket knife.
Okay.
You didn't say that right. Knife.
Knife. This is a knife.
This is a knife.
So, I mean, it's decent. We'll see it. We'll see it with my hands. I got small hands, so it'll look jack.
Put a banana. I can't tell without a
I don't
banana.
have a banana. Here we go. Here's a Ledger. Here's a Ledger Nano X for scale.
There we go. Just
There you
keep
go.
adding
Keep it-
things.
keep it in crypto. I got all kinds of hardware wallet scenarios here.
I'm getting the scale. It's starting to just actualize in my hands.
All right. So looking at this thing, so you plug it in, see the safe card on the right here.
Wow.
$350 for this whole thing. Why? Because it's probably the most secure method for storing your crypto and still having a reasonable amount of access to it.
This is just for one. Oh, you just slide in your card that is.
Yeah,
your
so like you can have,
identity.
like, it's easy to have multiple accounts because the keys and the signing actually happens on the card.
Hmm.
This is a hardware security module to make sure that the transaction formation and what you're signing is what it's supposed to be, amongst a bunch of other things. So let's see here.
So who's the target audience for this? Not typically a consumer, like one consumer, right? It's like
I
probably
think
multiple people.
what Grid Plus is trying to do here, and I think I'm going to have them on hashing it out again to discuss this, because Grid Plus initially started off as energy storage, like basically like an energy solution, and this in the Lattice1 was supposed to be basically your home node. It was your agent for your home, which managed all of your accounts and the software associated with those accounts, and potentially even ran nodes. So it has some processing on it. Let's get to the specs of this thing. So it's got a big touch panel, 5-inch touch panel, multi-point. It's 5-inch TFT with security mesh. So like I'm gonna go into like at a later date, I'm gonna be
Crack it open.
cracking it open, talking about these different security features, what they're supposed to do, so on and so forth. This is just me opening up and looking at it and playing with it. Card
see
slots,
a mode.
obviously, so it's basically like a really, really secure card reader.
I see a mode in their language, their verbiage: secure, internal secure computing.
That's the whole
mobile.
point, right? It's supposed to be a really, really, really secure hardware security module, so that like the transactions and keys never touch anything that can compromise. You can compromise. So try to crack this thing open. It's got a security mesh which basically keeps it from turning on if it feels as though it's been compromised and stuff like that. So that's what this detection mesh is here. It's got a security enclave. So like most things have a trusted execution environment, or like basically a secure element on the device. Your phone has one. These cards and all like credit cards actually have one. Like there's a secure element on these things, which has a certain level of like standardization on what it can and can't do, or what it protects you from. So like those are actually standards which you get audited. And so when these things say they're like EAL or CC EAL 5+ or 6+, that's an actual like security standard that these secure elements run by. Like that all standardized like credit cards, debit cards, Java cards, all those things have to hit in order to get that certification.
So what happens if you lose all your cards?
I don't know. You should have multiple.
I don't know, man. It's if the key's on the card, then the no, that's not true. You probably put the key on the card somewhere. You're storing the key. Like the card is just a physical access point, is what I'm thinking. So I don't know, Corey. You guys made the cards. if you lose that card, you don't lose your crypto, right? You just lose that card.
You always have the seed phrase, right? That's kind of like whenever you make these cards, whenever you like. So what happens with at least the way Keycard does it? I'm imagining it's a similar situation for this because it's all based on the same account modeling for Ethereum and other nodes, or like most of the crypto, right? Which means that you derive some entropy that corresponds to a seed phrase, which you back up. That's completely outside of the entire system, and you keep that really, really safe. In the event that all this stuff fails, you lose your cards, this thing breaks, whatever, you still have your seed phrase. You can get everything back. That's why the seed phrase is so important, because regardless of how secure the security module is and how you access stuff or whatever hardware wall you're using, for seed phrase it's stolen, it's your shit out of luck.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of extra things, firmware, and these safeguards are basically what holds the keys.
Mm.
So somebody jacks your card. There's no
These things
like.
are all, well, if they jack your card, these things have. I'm not exactly sure the implementation of Grid Plus. That'll be. I'll get into that later. But the cards are also secured with like a puck and a pin. So they're additionally encrypted for like multi-factor authentication. So it's not like someone gets your card, they plug it in, they have all your secrets, right?
Okay.
That's not how it works. So let's move over back to this. You make you the focal.
What are you trying to do?
I want to make the unboxing the large part. There you go. Cool. All right, let's open this bitch up.
Oh, there's no sound.
By the way, audience, I'd like for you to observe just how Texan Corey is by always having a pocket knife on him at all times.
I got an angle here. On the front, there's a quote from Voltaire that says, I can get that up there.
I don't know. It's tough to
Like
see.
this camera sucks. I'll have to buy another camera. It says paper money eventually returns to its intrinsic value, 0.
Ooh, deep coming from old Lattice.
This is like good build quality for like boxing stuff. This is a solid box.
I like that they chose triangles.
Heavy.
Nature's most stable shape.
Yeah, so it's not actually that big, right? So like here's that same pocket knife next to it, right? It's a triangular plus. Got a Ethernet and power port on the back. So basically this thing connects to your network.
What is all that extra
Cards.
like plastic? Like why didn't they do like a kickstand for it?
Extra plastic. I'd imagine like if you look at back to the thing here.
Is it heavy?
Yeah, I'd say it's.
So there's some juice running. There's some power running through there. Some computation going on in there.
Well, it's like going back up to here. Sorry, wrong window.
Under the specs, does it have like weight and what's inside?
Should specs are somewhere. But
Features
like,
and oh, there it is.
All these different parts put together, right? And the rest of it is just like probably.
You see how much plastic there is in the back?
Sits, right? Well, I guess they made it such that it sits on itself. But this isn't bad. Like, what would you like? How small do you want it to be? This is supposed to be basically sit on a desk.
I don't know, like a Kindle with a kickstand.
A Kindle?
Yeah, it should be like it looks like all the components are flat, right? And so they just have like that huge chunk of plastic that's like extruded out, so you can like have it at a 45-degree angle.
Well, maybe I'll break it open one day.
Yeah,
and we'll figure.
Don't do that. Why would you want to do that? It's hardware. It's safe. Why you don't break it?
To see if I can break it. That's the whole point. Well, they sent it to me because they want to see if I can break it or like make sure it works the way it's supposed to, right? So I figured why not just do an unboxing video before trying to do that. Back that, make you big. Make you big. At least you do that again. Back to this. This bad boy open, cardboard that goes away. In the back here, you have the first Grid Plus card. So I guess I have 1 plus 2 cards here. Still got it. So this is section for notes. You can't read that. Maybe on here. This one.
Still can't read it, but
We'll figure that out later. You got notes, serial, V1 on the card. These things should be NFC compatible. I'm not sure if they use the same cards. Like our key cards are NFC. I don't see the little the same icon on these, but that's more like white labeling on how you do this. Like that little Wi-Fi thing means it has NFC, which means you can like tap your phone or tap a terminal to communicate with things. Otherwise, the secure element right here is where it interfaces inside the Grid Plus. I'll show you here in a bit. Unbox the rest of this thing. So safeguard says backup, restore, and pay. There. Not just come out. At the back of this thing. It says back up the account on your Lattice using a safeguard, right? So you can basically have backups of your account, your last one. Restore an account from a safeguard to your Lattice, or pay, make transactions directly from your safeguard using any Lattice. So that means that there is an account on the actual machine. Oh, this thing comes out too, guys. Seems to be there's an account on the machine, and you can use these cards to either back up your account in case your machine breaks or gets stolen or something, or you can use these cards and use them on someone else's Lattice to then make like basically use their HSM with your accounts safely, right? So it's a pretty safe way of using someone else's hardware. Say if I wanted to make a payment at your house, if I really trust your computer and you have one of these, I don't have to care about your computer. And backing things up with these things is really good. I'm not sure of the lifetime of storage for Java cards. I'll have to look into that in terms of like how it compares to things like volatile memory, like flash, like USB sticks or CD-ROM or hard disks, right? Those have a certain shelf life on how long they keep the information intact just by sitting. And so like things like flash drives have a pretty small shelf life. So if you're storing all your keys on a USB stick, there's a chance that like 10, 15 years down the road, that thing isn't there anymore because it's corrupted based on sitting, like bit rot, right? I think Java cards have a longer shelf life than at least like USB sticks. Now, these things, which you can also buy, are additional safe cards. Pop these open. Good perforated mesh here to see if it's been tampered with. Important to note, I guess, create or back up an account by inserting your safeguard into Grid Plus Lattice1. Be prompted to set up a PIN for the card before it can be used. Do not forget this PIN. It cannot be removed. So these things are basically set with a PIN during manufacturing, and you need to remember that. Distinguish cards from one another by writing a name on the back in the allocated area. So that's what this like. In the back of this thing, it says notes. It's basically saying like this card is this account. And I think with a later date, we're going to go through all these things and start playing with them. So inside the box here, move this around. You have your standard Ethernet cable, or like patch cable, RJ45 things. Looks like a 4-footer, if I had to guess. And just the standard made in China AC adapter, which plugs into the back of this thing. So you have 2 plugs, power, Ethernet, and then here. So this would sit at your desk And the way you would interact with these things, I think you have like they have a forked version of MetaMask, which connects to this thing on your internal network, and then you can basically like when you're on a website and you want to do something, you would use the forked version of MetaMask, the Grid Plus version, and then it would send a signal to this thing, and you can confirm it, just like you would do for like your ledger if it's connected via USB. That's what I'm assuming. I'm not sure yet.
So they're basically trying to compete with like hardware wallets, point blank period. They're trying to be.
Well, it's the best. It's probably one of the best case scenarios for like a very high security hardware wallet. And these things also have the ability to communicate with you. Like they have an additional like messaging layer. So these things have certificates built into them, so they can make basically an encrypted messaging network just amongst all lattices. And I think they're looking to leverage that as well.
Encrypted messaging network, so like iMessage for Lattice Plus.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, or sending transactions, paying for things like that. So, like,
is this like a point of sale, like that's their hidden play here? Like, it's not only like they're gonna be like, oh, it's not only a hardware wallet, you can also use this if you're a merchant.
I'm curious to see like what type of storage this thing has on it, and the processing power to see like what applications could be put. Because remember, this thing was spec'd out to be. Oh no, you can't fake the card, Alicia. Alicia asked if you could fake the card. Like
64 gigabytes of storage.
Hotel room keys are just a magnetic strip. They don't have the secure element. So the secure element, this little like part here that connects, and you insert your thing. This is actually a miniature computer with like protected memory and computation and stuff like that. That only can do a very specific amount of things and nothing else. Unlike like a hotel room key, or at least the ones that you're most likely, is just a magnetic strip which has a specific code on it that can be faked. But like these have keys on them and an untamperable way of storing them, so that if someone tried to access it, it'll just kill itself.
Interesting. I mean, I think it's kind of dope. I think, I mean, I'm a big believer that like it's gonna take some sort of physical change, some physical way people interact with crypto in order to make it go mainstream, right? And the only reason I say that, and I've continued to say it over the years, is that it does take a physical change in order to change society. Like, for example, we were running through paper, and then all of a sudden someone invents checks. So now all of a sudden you have physical behaviors that are changing with making a transaction. You've got someone taking out a checkbook, opening a checkbook, marking the debit, writing the check, right? That's a entire physical process. And then later along the line, credit cards come. First, it starts with those huge fucking those huge carbon sliding machines. But now you've got a new physical process. Okay, no longer am I opening my wallet to take out dollar bills or opening my checkbook to take out a check. I'm now opening my wallet and taking out a card and giving it to someone. And now we're changing that physical behavior because I'm taking out a card and tapping it on a screen, or taking out a card and tapping it on someone's phone. Right. So in order for crypto to take hold as money and not, all of these other thousands of fun things we're creating, there's got to be a physical change. Right. And this is kind of touching on that. I don't know. I could see a world where like every house has a terminal, and that's your crypto vault, and you do things in and out of that terminal whenever you're interacting with crypto. Maybe that's gonna be, maybe it's not. But if there's no physical behavior change, then it's gonna be hard for this stuff to take off as money, in my opinion. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks cool as shit. I think all the plastic, Jesse, might be to like, I don't know, airflow to keep
it's
it.
Got
cool.
some weight to it. I mean,
there's 64 gigs of.
No, I would imagine this like extruded part here from like here on.
Yeah,
because like this is all components up to this
right up till there.
Everything
out
out here
is extra plastic.
Feels empty.
Yeah,
like all the weight is definitely front loaded here, and this might just be an easy way, like a cheap way, to make it look pretty sexy while it's letting it sit, right? Because like
Mhm.
2 little cables are going to come out of the back of this thing. It's your power and your Ethernet, and that's how you see it, right?
Why didn't they do wireless instead of like
Ethernet, wireless can be tampered with. I think
all
wireless is more
hacky.
tamperable than this.
Get all hacky with that Wi-Fi.
Also, it requires more. I mean, it has Wi-Fi built into it. It's
Okay.
I'm gonna dig in later to like
Alicia
security
says
features of these things.
can
The
you
main point
mount
of this is like this screen here is part of the hardware security module, right? So like what you see on this is generated from the Lattice1 and can't be faked by anything. There's no so like right now, for instance, with the key cards, right? So like status the key cards we have, these things rely on you using a piece of software that isn't going to lie to you. So the status application is one of them. But you got to make sure you're not getting like a rogue version of the status application. You have to install that correctly to make sure that whenever it's presenting like a transaction request that's for you to sign, that isn't being falsified. Because when you look at like with something like this, it doesn't have a screen on it. Like a lot of the like Ledger and things like that, they have a screen on it, so it can say like, is this amount all right? Is this the correct address? So on and so forth. Whereas like if you can craft a transaction, present it to me on some rogue screen, and I say, yeah, that looks right, and then actually send a different transaction to be signed, you can steal all my money. And so like understanding that the software that's crafting a transaction and presenting it to you to confirm has to be secure too. And it's kind of hard to do that, or at least show any relevant amount of information, especially when it deals with contracts, smart contracts, on like a Ledger screen. And the Ledger Blue is discontinued, you can't use that anymore, and it sucks anyway.
Did you know what is it? Is it Square? They're coming out with their own hardware wallet. Do you know what?
It's the most convenient way to safely store crypto. Of any like if you have any amount that's
you mean a Java card
special to you, no, like a hardware wallet.
Oh, okay.
A hardware wallet. Now there's multiple implementations of hardware wallets. I'm actually building like a workshop for Status that's like an educational on like hardware wallet best security practices, how it all works, and I'll pump that out on the podcast too. But like it's mainly like this is how hardware wallets work, and these are the things you need to look out for. And here's some standard best practices of like how to not shoot yourself in the foot. Because there's a bunch of different ones, and they all have kind of different consequences on like the things you should look out for, whether it be like a Java card that's cheap and commoditizable, so you feel better about like the supply chain, but it doesn't have any screen on it, so it's really hard. You can't confirm on the hardware itself that what you're signing is what was sent to it, what you thought was sent to it. Right, so you rely on the status application or whatever application that uses key cards to do that correctly.
What's the difference between like having like just like a USB hardware wallet and that?
And what this?
And that, yeah.
So with the USB hardware wallet, you're using USB, which isn't that big of a deal, but it's kind of annoying.
But I don't have to carry around this big block with me.
No, you're not carrying this thing around.
Yeah.
Like you never carry like this is for your home. This is for like a safe location that it shouldn't leave. So like your home desktop, somewhere like if you look at all the pictures they have, it's like sitting on a desk where you do your work. And so that'll be paired with like, I don't know, your laptop or some screen or something and eventually if this thing becomes like your household node, then whenever you sign a transaction, it pops up for confirmation on this, regardless of whatever device you're like doing stuff on. It sends the transaction request on your local area network to this thing, and then you can make sure that what you're doing is correct because you can't falsify the information on the screen.
So it's to display information on a secure device that you know is secure, or you're trusting is more secure than your own
you're
PC browser.
You're trusting that the way that they manufacture this thing, it can't be tampered with. And so you're trusting the information that they provide you, and then it does a lot of the cryptographic activity because these things have incredibly limited computational power. They can sign transactions. They can do some key functions like ECDSA key functions. They can derive keys, things like that. But like the amount of storage on these and computational power is severely limited. And compared to this, like the experience is going to be much better. It's like, and when I power it on, get through the process and like go through it in a separate call, we'll see it. We'll try it out. We'll like play with some DAFs or something, and we'll see like on a screen me trying to make a transaction somewhere and it popping up here, me confirming it and then going through, just like you would do for like a ledger. But like ledgers are kind of cumbersome. Every time I use one, I get pissed off. Like ask the Slack, because I tell them every time I use my ledger, I get pissed off because the experience of plugging it in, making sure it works properly, getting it to sync with MetaMask or whatever application I'm using to access it, Ledger Live, updating the firmware, whatever, it's always a pain in the ass. It's never plug it in, confirm, walk away. This at least feels like it's going to move to that in the environment you're comfortable doing these things in. And so like if you're dealing with a lot of money, you should probably be a little more worried about your security and the devices you're used to like confirm the transaction that you're signing is the right one.
I guess the only thing I say is I feel like Ledger has to do those things because of just the architecture of working in crypto, working with crypto. So how is Grid Plus going to overcome? Like they have firmware updates because there was some sort of security bug, or that firmware updates.
These have firmware updates too.
Or like for example, most recently the Avalanche plugin on my ledger or someone's ledger that I was working with needed an update. So I couldn't get access to his Avalanche via the ledger without doing that update in the Avalanche plugin. And that was a whole nother process. Right. So it's like, I feel like so long as there's no standards in crypto, there's always going to be clunky user experience.
What do you mean no standards? There are standards. There's a lot of standards. Like the only reason that this card can work on other things.
Well, what I mean by that is, why do I need?
I don't think he means the word standards.
Maybe I don't mean the word standards, but I need an Avalanche plugin. I need a Litecoin plugin. I need a Bitcoin plugin.
Okay. So what that is there's a few things there. Actually, what other key feature about this hardware wallet is that it's developer extensible. What that means is that a developer for a specific network can create an extension to this platform to allow it to access their network, or like do the right type of key derivation. So like with the BIP39, I think BIP39.
Yeah, I always had to.
Deterministic. So like HD wallets allow you to specify a given path down like the key derivation function. Like we can talk about maybe keys at a different time, but like every single network or application or use case has a specific path. That's a standard. So like Bitcoin is like, I think it's 4460, or that's Ethereum. So M4460
that's Ethereum.
It's Ethereum. Bitcoin's a different one. So like all of the different networks, test nets, applications, like we have, like Status has made a couple EIPs specific towards non-value related keys. So like there's a whole path that we've tried to create. We've made an EIP that says like anything on this path is non-value. So like we use it for like the identity and status. And so when a developer is making an extension, so like the plugin or application for Ledger or this thing, what they're doing is they're telling the firmware what paths are used in this particular network, and once you have those keys, how to generate addresses, right? It's like what's a valid transaction look like for this particular network? How do you generate an address from the key pair that you generate on these things? And what's the API for connecting to the network? So like, what does it mean to send an RPC call to a given network or node somewhere?
Isn't that what a Ledger app does though?
Yes, that's what it means. Like that's what it means when you add one of these things. you're providing a lot of that metadata around that network or use case, so that the software that's crafting transactions and sending them to your hardware wallet to sign knows how to do that, and then where to send it once it's signed.
Yeah.
I think D is trying to ask like what's to ensure, or like what makes it so that you're not going to have the same firmware and app upgrade problems with that Lattice1 that you do with a ledger.
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Haven't used it yet.
Mm.
I would say I think it's so. This is its own device in your network, right? This isn't connecting directly to your computer. It's connecting to your local area network. That means that you basically ping it like you would a computer in your house. So instead of like, and that means that like there's no variation in how this thing is set up. Whereas with a USB, like the interface, how you interface the USB is heavily dependent upon like your system configuration, the drivers you have, the operating system you're using, whether or not you're going through like multiple like USB extenders or hubs, and the power of those things, whether it's getting the right kind of power. So that's always like when you look for the troubleshooting through Ledger, it's like, all right, well, unplug it, plug it back in, try a different plug, try a different cable. Like you have to do all these things.
The 400 by 800 pixel screen, and then you're gonna have like similar Ledger problems potentially, and then you have to like touch screen everything. Like that could.
Well, you're less likely to, because you don't have all those layers underneath that are so variable up to the user, right? Like, and in respect to that, like all of those things are tamperable.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like this is like you just send package of the internet on your local area network, which is arguably tamperable. But once it's on this thing and it gets the signal, what it's displaying to you cannot be wrong. What it gets is what it's going to show you. And so when you do that verification process of like, yes, this is the transaction I want to sign. These are the details of that smart contract that I asked it to sign. Good, I'll confirm it. And what you sign then gets sent back to wherever you asked it from, so like my computer on MetaMask, and that can't be tamperable either because it's a digitally signed message.
I would like to know how your experience goes with it when you power it on and use it for a few months.
Probably do it live.
Okay.
I'll set it up, try it out, and then we'll do this again some other time to like show it. Like this is, in my opinion, probably the current state of the art with like incredibly high security using blockchain.
For sure, high security and state of the art, but in terms of user approachability,
that's to be determined.
Yeah.
I think
I'm not taking this anywhere, right?
Crypto has elephants in the room or skeletons in the closet or dirt under the rug, whatever random analogy you want to use for stuff that crypto doesn't want to talk about because it's insurmountably difficult to fix. And it's like the user experience is so bad with crypto, no matter how.
Yeah, of course it is.
Let me jack up the security. Now it's like not even user friendly anymore.
Yeah, well, like when I had somebody I was hoping to submit their ledger, and they were like, "What the fuck is a derivation path?" And me at the time, I danced out of that question harder than I could possibly imagine because I was like, "It's how we derive." And then
I don't know. Like you can say I don't know. It's okay to not know shit.
It's okay to be in the ballpark too. I said it's a path of derivation, and he said, "Okay." So then I went back and looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, I guess that makes sense." But if I'm like a GPP, I'm like derivation. What?
So what happens? What happens with hardware wallets is because they have limited storage. More often than not, what they do is they only store the master key. So like your seed phrase, depending upon how long it is, gets stretched to a 512 byte like seed, which is just a random string, which is basically a number, right? Yeah. That is usually what gets stored. Or like there's a little bit more process of like how that seed actually gets used to make a private key. But like those initial private keys are usually what gets stored on a hardware wallet. Because what it can do is from that key pair or seed or like master key pair, it can just derive whatever private and public key you need on the fly. It doesn't need to store them. And depending upon how much computational power it has, it may want to store some of them so that it's faster, because that's extra computation it has to do. But for something like this, it's just like, all right, give me the key path, or give me the derivation path. Like what network am I using? Is it mainnet, etc.? Okay, this is the right key for that type of thing. And now I'll assign whatever I need to.
Excuse me. I'm just so
That's
happy
all stuff that you
about-
shouldn't have to care about. Like nobody should have to care about that other than people like me and wallet designers.
I'm happy about my personal future, that I have a little bit deeper understanding than like 90% of the population, so that when it comes to time this stuff does hit mainstream hardcore, man, be printing money doing something. I don't know what it's going to be, but nobody's going to need to know all this stuff. So
Yeah, I think a lot of this is that crypto it forced people to get comfortable or get used to using like key pairs in cryptography, asymmetric key pairs, right?
Mhm.
And that's not easy.
Mm-mm.
And like the user experience of that isn't easy. And eventually, like we've come up with like interesting ways to try to do it. Like more often than not, like these things are key pairs. It's like this is just a proxy for all that bullshit. It does it here. You just tap it, and your credit card does something similar, mostly for certificates.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's a similar type of thing. Like a lot of cryptography is going on when you make a credit card purchase and you insert your PIN or tap it with an SC. Just a slightly different kind of cryptography in order to verify that your card is yours. We're trying to figure out ways to give you that same user experience without compromising your security, using it like a different kind of cryptography.
Yeah, it's dope. I hope it takes off. We need it to take off for crypto's sake. The user experience has to get better, like point blank, period. So, I want to see the next episode when you like spark it up and then accidentally leak all your personal information, and then
100% live.
Spark that shit up so we can see what it looks like. I think okay, we've made a mistake. What is going on? What just happened?
Alicia made herself an overlay.
I was like, wait, what's going on here? So let's move on. Let's get unboxing. Next time we're going to show you guys how it works. And in the future, all banks will be turned into a Grid Plus. You heard it here first on the Bitcoin Podcast.
I'm curious to see what this thing can do in terms of, especially like the potential of this like secure network, like communications network, and like the applications you can put on this thing.
Yeah,
and memory. It's just basically it's a really secure small computer.
You guys want to try to do some prognostication?
No, it's all you.
You don't like prognosticating?
I mean, about different things. This one.
What do you like prognosticating? But we're not going to talk.
You want to see a keyboard unboxing?
Yes, I do.
I might.
I want to watch Jesse unbox a keyboard.
I'll show you a quick unboxing of something that is.
Are we just unboxing everything? I'm sure I have other
so.
stuff around the house I can unbox.
What is happening here? What is that?
Here, I'll show you.
He has no signal. He's doing something.
All right, so blow me
Look at
up.
this guy. He's got things set up.
Blow me up.
Look at this! It blow me up. Put me in there, boss. Chief.
All right. So this is the jelly, right? So this is a custom keyboard, right? So this is different than your Logitechs, than your Corsair, than your Steel Series, and whatever, right? So it's a designer called OWL Labs. I don't know which way was.
You had it right the first time.
All right.
Yeah, we're seeing it as you see it.
Okay. So it's called the Jelly. It's a 75% keyboard. What that means is that it comes with, so there's their brand for the studio that designed this keyboard, OWL. So it's a cut down version of a full size keyboard effectively is what the form factor 75% entails. And so you're given all the different components to the keyboard separately. So this is the PCB, the PC, the polycarbonate layer.
Can't see anything. Like the exposure of that is like really high.
Yeah, let's see.
Drastically.
I bet
You can get
you-
some good cameras. Let's get some cameras for this. We're gonna be unboxing stuff all the time.
Yeah,
That would be
we're
nice.
unboxing.
Okay, I'll just open it.
Send us your stuff. We'll get better at unboxing stuff.
Exactly.
I want things. I want to unbox things.
Let's
All right,
unbox
so
our
that's
new
what that
sponsor
looks
when it
like.
comes.
Ooh, it's a little asthma going on too. That sound as it slid out of that paper was got me. It's got me going.
So there's your PC plate.
With your PC? Your
Your
what?
polycarbonate plate, PC plate.
Okay.
It's where all the switches go in.
Isn't that
Usually
what
the PC.
Han Solo was put in? Polycarbonate.
Yeah, 100%.
And here's the PCB of the plate for the keyboard
What's
itself.
PCB?
Printed
Polycarbonate.
circuit board. All right.
I was close.
So you can see that there are slits in this. You can see the light kind of going through. You can see the
Yeah.
dust through. So those slits are cut so that you have extra flex in the PCB, so that the typing experience is unique in the way that your fingers actually sink in to the keyboard.
Jesus Christ.
So that's something that people want is a flex on the back plate.
Exactly. It's a flex on the backplate. And it kind of goes to the name, like the moniker jelly.
Okay.
Like this is the most squishiest typing experience and
Why
like
would you want
deepest.
that sounds terrible.
Oh, it's fantastic. So I'll show you like on this keyboard, right?
I got no
If you look
squish.
at the side of it, maybe if I can hold it at an angle. So you can see that, let's see here. You can see that, man, this is,
It doesn't
difficult.
really
This is
focus.
interesting to watch you try to do.
I know. It's so awkward. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really show you, but like even this, depending on how the PCB is mounted within the aluminum frame of the keyboard, it'll have different degrees of flexibility. And so there's like a handful of different types of mount styles. There's top mount, bottom mount, sandwich mount. Yeah.
I got no
Look at
flex
all that.
on the keyboard.
I got the DOS keyboard. That thing's like fucking steel.
So this thing is the actual keyboard frame. So all you're getting with this whole package is the keyboard frame itself. And so this is wrapped in saran wrap, it seems like. But yeah, gosh, it's actually very, very heavy. I think it's at least 5 kilos. So there's a huge brass plate on the back. Actually, not 5 kilos, maybe 2.5 kilos. But yeah, it's like a 5-pound keyboard.
What is that in America units?
5 pounds, little over 5 pounds. So it's sandblasted anodized aluminum, and then I mean it's red, and then you've got like all. If I open this up, there's like actually some foam inside that it acts as dampening for the sounds as well, and also insulation from the PCB touching the bottom since it's all metal construction. But yeah, there's each custom keyboard just in general has unique features in terms of the way that it's styled, and also the way that the sound, the styling, and potentially like
So like, there's a lot going on here, and you haven't even talked about switches or keycaps.
right. There's
Like,
a lot.
does it make that big of a difference?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. I think if depending on like what you want out of your keyboard, typing experience and sound, you would use a different combination of the plate, the PCB, and the switches and the frame itself. So it depends. If you want a stiffer typing experience, you can use an aluminum plate. So instead of using like a polycarbonate plate, which has a lot of flex inherently because it's plastic, you could use something like an aluminum plate, which it's a very stiff typing experience.
Mm.
And it's actually clackier. But if you have like a more flexible plate, you get a more deeper, acoustically pinging sound.
What are the noise? Like we deal with clicks, we deal with clacks. Is there clunks, plunks, and
Watts.
pings? You said
Wax?
No, it's just like variable sounds of like
click.
clicking. Yeah, I don't know.
You can't
It's
hear
just-
mine because
it's really-
my filter takes out all the noise on my keyboard. But I have like
So
cherry blues. They're cherry blues, so they're so fucking loud.
phonetically, we've got clicks, cleeks, clacks, clocks, most likely coming.
He's got 50 minutes of unboxing hardware that are
Yeah.
two very different things.
Well, you guys know how we do at the Bitcoin podcast. We free finesse.
Jesse's slowly working on that keyboard sponsorship. Get people to send keyboards.
Jesse's low-key
Oh,
been working
that
on
would
a
be
keyboard
awesome.
sponsorship.
Oh, get keyboard sponsorship. This is what you're watching, but ladies and gentlemen.
For value, this keyboard at retail went for $460, I believe. But then the resale market for it is about $1,000 to $1,100 automatically as soon as you took delivery of the product.
You flipping keyboards?
I'm saying you could flip keyboards if you wanted to.
Dude, that's not a bad margin right there. That's a
Yeah.
very good business as long as you could route drop shipping and have just a minimum, like a temporary storage facility. You can make quite a killing on flipping these custom keyboards. But the market though, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you find the people that want that specific custom?
Yeah, it's like every scarcity
There's in
market, right?
very
Like
niche places.
there's like sneakers, you name it. There's like I have a buddy that basically spends all his time in these like small niche secondary markets flipping stuff, and it takes a lot of time, and it's
It does.
hard because there's a lot of people doing it, and the entrance of bots
Yeah.
has automated a good portion of the process. That's why it's still partially why it's still difficult to get a PS5.
I got mine coming, by the way. Thank you. No thanks, Sony.
You unboxing that?
I'm gonna unbox a PS5.
This is now the Bitcoin unboxing podcast where we
Yeah.
maybe talk about Bitcoin and unbox random things that we get.
Do you think that like this is not totally unrelated? No, it is kind of unrelated. Absolutely unrelated. But like, what if this show becomes the Unbitcoin podcast? Like, do you have that? I've had that nightmare a couple times where like
The Bitcoin unboxing.
no, like where
podcast.
Bitcoin becomes where Bitcoin has actually quote unquote made it, and it's so boring that we have to like talk with like it's done. Like for example, like nobody's walking around talking about the design on a dollar bill, the serial numbers and what they mean and why they're placed there. Like nobody does that. Nobody's doing that. And then if we want the stuff to be money, then that's eventually what this show becomes like.
But it's also a technology, right? Like that's where it's never going to stop being interesting to talk about is the underlying technology. Like Bitcoin is money, sure, we can talk about things, and interesting things that go on are going to be like geopolitics, things that happen that maybe influence mining, etc. Like that's never really going to stop because as it gets larger and successful, you're going to have nation states vying over it. And then the underlying technology, which kind of encompasses all of this stuff, is Jesus. Good luck keeping up with that.
So speaking of influencing mining, segues, the hash rate's going back up, fellas. It's going back up mighty quick too. The Bitcoin hash rate.
Finally, all the Chinese mining got redistributed to other parts of the world.
Yep, I think it took about solid 3 weeks. It's gonna shoot right back up to where it was. I mean, those
machines. You have a graph that?
Yeah. Oh man, I just closed that window, but let me see if I can find it.
Oh, I got one too. I'll look.
Yeah. What are you laughing at?
It's like we're talking about the tech. Oh, let's look at the price. Like,
no, we're not looking at the price. I'm looking. This is the hash rate.
Yeah, but what's that core live to?
Security.
No.
Security,
No,
baby.
that's not what Dee's thinking.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh yeah.
Coming back up. This is 1 month. It didn't look like it dropped for that long.
I don't know, man.
Here, let me pull this. Let me share the screen. This is at coinwars.com.
Okay. I think you're gonna to edit.
Jesus, what's up, ads? At coinwars.com over the past month.
What the hell is going on? What
June
is
to July?
mini Doge?
It's not that big of a deal.
Mini Doge.
Can you hit?
I'm not even clicking on that. I'm not clicking on any of
Yeah,
those
don't
things.
click on that stuff.
Can you hit all on the timescale, Corey? instead of the 1 month.
Yeah, hit
You
all.
want to do
watch.
all? You trying to go crazy here?
Yeah, it
I
needs to-
am. Look at
yeah,
that
see,
drop.
like we haven't really
Okay,
recovered.
just kidding.
We're still pretty down there.
Let's bring this into like.
I think
Where's
those
that
are
big
just
drop?
like little bounces.
Where's
Yeah.
that big drop?
Well, if this is not a start of a recovery and it's just a little bounce, then that sucks. But
I wonder which one leads. Like when they forcibly had to turn off their mining, right? That caused the drop in hash rate. But as miners try to figure out when is most profitable after buying and redistribution of miners, I wonder if we're going to see that hash rate flick up and down, and then be determined by price rather than the forcible, like than the price being determined by the hash rate.
Doesn't that mean, well, like a mining operation, especially one like Bitcoin, that's like a high capital, is a very thin margin thing that heavily dependent upon your operational costs and the efficiency of the hardware that you have. So we saw a redistribution of all the Chinese stuff over the last month or two. That's May when it hits this thing up here. I don't know how the manufacturing process of miners has been altered based on Chinese news.
yeah, see, that was another big thing.
And so these like state of the art mining now may end up being like lasting like longer than it normally would because there's less of a manufacturing process. And I'm speaking totally from ignorance from here, but like as far as I was aware of, previously the majority of the manufacturing was done in China too. I don't know if that hasn't been slowed down or ceased. And so like the mining operation basically has to take into a bunch of things into account, and that is how much does it cost to run these machines and the infrastructure that supports them versus the price I'm getting out of them. And then like speculative, how long do I hold these things? Do I sell them immediately or hold off for a little while, which is more of a business situation.
The reason I kind of see this increasing rather quickly is because what we've seen is, one, there's all these machines, they got to go somewhere and start mining again. That's going to happen. Two, we're talking about a 50% drop in hash rate in 2 months, which means that it's twice as easy to get new Bitcoin into your wallet if you're a miner, if you're a miner for somewhere else on the planet, right? So now they're trying to get as much hash rate increase as they can to make it easier for them to get new Bitcoin. It's just a good system. It's a good, beautiful.
I mean,
system.
we talk about them and we abstract how deep their pockets are, because once you take delivery of all the physical equipment, you have to stay solvent throughout like a bearish portion of time, right? Potentially. So like it can't be the hash rate always leading price is what I'm getting at. There's a relationship where they have to stay as solvent as they financially can. And if they can't, then you're going to see that hash rate disappear because they're also going to in turn sell that equipment to somebody else because they couldn't make it profitable. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not just like you plug it in and now you're going to be making money. And then just
there's a return on that money. And it's usually depends upon how much hash rate you plug in at once. Right. It's not just like, oh, I plugged in a miner, I'm printing money. That's not how it works at all. The difficulty drop wasn't 50% though. The difficulty drop was like 20-something%, wasn't it? Where's the chart that says those charts are ass. Hold up. Where's the difficulty?
Where's good charts here?
No, go to blockchain.com/charts.
Yeah.
Blockchain.com/charts.
I don't look at charts much these days. I don't know where things are.
This used to be blockchain.info.
That's where I just was. Whatever.
Oh, what?
Anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, that's where I was. It's just I didn't go to /charts. I'm looking at average block time. Where is that? Mining information, total hash rate, network difficulty.
Yeah, look at network difficulty and compare that to total hash rate.
I'm looking at that, and the chart looks almost the same.
But I thought you said it was a
Like-
20% difficulty drop.
That's
But the
what I
hash rate
thought.
dropped 50%.
The hash rate dropped 50%,
And the difficulty did too?
dropped from 25 to 15.
So this is
So-
actual difficulty. It's 1 year, right? So you can see flat out. So like in between here, you can be
40%.
damn sure, like actually from here to here, you can be damn sure that some of those blocks took quite a while. Because when you take that much mining off of the network so quickly, the algorithm or like that readjusts difficulty based on currents, like the past 30 blocks or whatever many blocks it calculates, has to lag. So there's a certain window basically of we're mining at the same difficulty. That's why this thing's like a step function, right? Each of these things is the window in which it recalculates. And so in between this thing, the hash rate's going up and down depending on whatever machines are actually doing something, but it can't redefine stuff until it hits that threshold block number of blocks in which it can actually recalculate. So if the mining, the hash rate drops significantly within a window, the rest of the blocks in that window take a long time.
Yeah. And
because there's not enough hash power to calculate them.
So Jess, Corey, can you hit the all-time button? It's the same. It's almost the same chart.
So like every time the step function drops, they're gonna have to stay solvent because their hash rate is going to be, with respect to the difficulty, it's going to be
that difficulty window. And so basically, they have to, like, if it drops significantly, they have to suffer through the rest of that window until it recalculates at the average hash rate of the window.
Right. So as soon as the step function pulls down, then they're relative to the difficulty. Now their hash rate is higher. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
like
so
they have a higher chance of making money then.
Yeah. They have the right amount of chance to make money based on the hash rate at that time. So it recalculates based on the actual block time of the last couple of whatever the number of blocks in the window is, averaged out to be 10 minutes long.
We should talk to some miners.
They readjust it. They readjust the difficulty calculation to get it back to the current hash rate or the average hash rate of the past period now does 10 minutes long, as opposed to like what it is. And that difficulty calculation can be gamed a little bit. And that's why you saw in a lot of the smaller networks, mining operations basically algorithmically swapping networks based on the overlap of different difficulty windows, because they had a specific amount of hash rate that did a certain amount of hashes per second. And then they would just dynamically swap whatever the most profitable was for any given window. And so like that's why BCH or Bitcoin Cash was gained with so much, is because it had a relatively low one. So like it was just going up and down. Like regular Bitcoin miners would just move over there really quickly to get a much, much higher return on money. And then they just sell it over to whatever they wanted immediately. And so like the difficulty calculation of Bitcoin Cash in the early days was all over the place because of this.
What makes miners stop switching and then just stick to one network? I wonder, you know?
That's the only thing miners give a shit about is profitability. But like the margins are way too small and the operational costs are way too high for them to like be idealistic. They only care about making money.
But
because it's such
do you
a
get what
hard
I'm
business.
asking? Like when you're saying that inherently there's volatility between Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin, because let's say every difficulty adjustment downwards, the people who have hash rate on Bitcoin would swap to Bitcoin Cash because it's more profitable, and every difficulty adjustment upwards, they'll swap off of it and go back to Bitcoin. What I'm saying is, why would they stay? Because I'm sure some of the hash rate just stayed on Bitcoin Cash.
They made a business decision to think that, one, they didn't feel as though they were like that there wasn't a high confidence that they could recoup those costs fast enough. So like the value of the underlying asset that they're mining doesn't stay long enough, or they're lazy, or like the DevOps of doing that isn't easy, or they don't want to. Like there's a lot of like business decisions and like involved with whether or not people are going to swap, because like there's a chance that something goes wrong in one of those networks and all the hash power you put on it gets wasted because the price of the underlying asset goes down faster than you can sell it.
What I'm getting is at the end of the day, they're still projecting that the price will go up of whatever they stick to in terms of where they put their hash rate. That business decision is effectively that prediction.
Yeah, now there's a lot of now there's also like a lot more back history that they could check to see like profitability of like maybe a time in which they switched and when they didn't. So like all this data you can back test on may end up, for all I know, saying stick to Bitcoin. It's been the most profitable way of doing it for this particular hashing setup you may have. Or like smaller operations may find it way more beneficial to swap because they don't have nearly the like foothold to make such a stable investment. Like they can only make profit if they swap to multiple networks because they have a lower operation. I don't know. Like it's incredibly variable.
You should talk to some miners.
We did a while ago. There's like a couple episodes back that we talked to there's an American mining infrastructure company. But getting miners to talk about their operation is very difficult because they don't want to reveal things.
Yeah, they don't usually like to talk about those things, Jesse. They like
why? Because it's business.
I wouldn't want anyone to know I was a successful cryptocurrency miner ever.
I guess like the process.
Think about all the random attack vectors that you would introduce into your life. Random stuff. Maybe it's malicious things like straight up, hey, I know you're a successful person who prints money. How about I just kill you unless you tell me some stuff? Right? That's
but we have a whole lot of like CEOs for a lot of projects come on here though, right? And I mean, they come on to talk about what they do.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't understand how there's
but they're not printing money.
But they are.
Maybe
they have ICOs.
But the OPSEC of running physical hardware in a potentially like gray regulatory business is very different than me building a software company that leverages the technology.
Jesse
still saying like tokens that aren't like ICOs.
Yeah, watch the Bond movies, bro.
All right.
Watch the Bond movies. It's in there. It's all the literature is in all 27 of the James Bond movies.
Gotcha.
What? I'm serious. You always make this face like you always laugh at the things I say. I'm serious, man. Like when you do shit like that, like
even the Bond villains talk about what they do. What are you talking about? They give lengthy speeches
to just James Bond, who always has a microphone on.
Okay, so let's make James Bond. Like I would like to hear how they, plan for world domination.
I would love to. I don't know why villains I would love to see a movie where the villain doesn't give up his plan. And then just like that would be such a boring movie. Like, oh, we got the guy, kill him. What do you
mean? Michael B. Jordan in Black Panther didn't talk about the plans. He just executed, and it was pretty badass watching all that action.
The average confirmation time around
Corey is just completely ignoring.
I stopped paying attention.
He's like, okay,
I'm gonna stop looking at this. Sorry.
That's very true.
Yeah, I gotta go anyway. I got a meeting.
Sounds good.
Damn, that's where we are. That's how we're ending. That's how we're ending the show. Well, let's wrap this.
We work. We all work. It's not like that. That's like the explanation.
What did you say?
We all work. We got work to do.
That's true.
Middle of the day. Podcasting for people. I unboxed the Grid Plus. I will work on trying to get things ready so they can show me using it and walk through the process of me. I'll make some dummy accounts and then we'll buy an NFT or some shit, right?
Okay, Jesse. Also unbox the keyboard. So that is if you're watching Jelly, we want a sponsorship. We can do it right. All right.
Owl Labs.
We got some more unboxing coming up from an upcoming sponsor that we have. So things are being shipped to us.
Yep. I'm gonna unbox some cake.
Things are gonna get real sexy.
The next thing that we should do is unbox headphones because headphones
or cameras because it's clear that unboxing cameras suck.
Yeah, let's do that too.
Yeah, we should. And I'm gonna unbox an IKEA chair that I've had my eye on for quite a while. So all right, guys.
Unboxing podcast.
Let's wrap this up. Let's do our shout outs. Let's If you if you want early access to things and you want to feel special about yourself, you could become a patron. Right? You go to the Patreon, you go to patreon.com/the Bitcoin podcast. You can become a patron for as low as $1. And you get early access. You also get some. We had a premium episode that came out a couple months back. That was just basically a meta episode. We call meta episodes. Where Corey and myself. Jesse, were you there?
No.
I don't think you were. We went and we listened to one of our older episodes from like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, episode 1, and just kind of listened to like the things that we were talking about, how crypto's changed. We'd pause and talk about, wow, that turned out well. That didn't turn out well. Well, we hope to do more meta episodes as time allows, just because so you can see like the audible history of how crypto has changed and is constantly changing. Maybe in one of those episodes, you'll hear us say like how shitty Doge was, and now all of a sudden, all I hear all the time is like, "Oh, are you investing in Doge? Are you investing in Doge?" That doesn't even that sentence right there makes me want to crawl into a cave until I shrivel into.
I mean, if you replace the word investing with gambling, then it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
That's the appropriate word to use.
And somewhere in the sentence, either at the beginning or the end, it's bro. Like,
I say bro a lot. It's almost like I've used it ironically for so long that it's now just a part of what I naturally say. So I broed myself into being a bro.
Now you're a bro, Corey.
And here I am.
Join the Slack, thebitcoinpodcast.com. There's a button on there that says Slack. Push it. And then there's a couple questions. Answer them. And then you will have joined the Slack. In the Slack, you can talk to straight bouses. And, we're talking about crypto all week in and week out. Price, tech, what's good, what's bad, what's going to be good, what's going to be bad. I mean, it's just conversation all around. Let's see what else we got. Oh, give us a review on podcasts. I'm going to do something different here, guys. I'm going to say, hey, let's talk. This is a good time to talk about. This is a good time to talk about our other reviews that we've gotten in the past. This is great. So we recently got a 1-star review.
Ooh, yes.
And oh shit, where'd it go?
What's it say?
Oh, here it is. Who eats while recording a podcast? Like the title says.
This is what happens when I leave. This is what happens when I leave. Y'all eat Cheetos for 5 minutes.
No, it was like 40 minutes. Like the title says,
like 40 minutes.
They ate Cheetos while recording a podcast. I couldn't stop hearing whoever was crunching and chewing. Very disgusting. I just don't get it. Your job is to talk into a mic, and you're gonna sit there and eat.
This is not our job. We do this for fun.
Yeah, this is not our job.
That's where that person made the mistake.
Yeah,
you made the mistake to thinking we're professionals.
And excuse me, Yellow Zebra from Canada. Yeah, you obviously didn't get the joke. Here's another 1-star. This is from 2019, not too long ago. 1-star, and the title is "Idiots Entertain Each Other."
That's a pretty good review. Like,
yeah, that's pretty.
That should be 5. That should be 5 stars right there. The idiots entertain each other. Like that should just be. I think the subline of the Bitcoin podcast.
This was when What the Headers was kind of like the most regular show that we had. It was a very short stint, the summer of 2019.
Oh no!
It was like brief mentions of headlines in the cryptosphere while two bozos giggle to each other while showing their short attention spans. Not intended for people looking for knowledge or insight to today's crypto culture. This entire project seems to be for their love of each other, like teenage boys misbehaving.
Put your pinky down, bro.
Like teenage boys misbehaving in a McDonald's.
Man, the headlines were really boring, though. Like, yeah. I'm surprised we got through, like, what, 60, 70 something?
I got through a lot of episodes of just boring content.
It was like 30 minutes of organizing headlines before the show and then just reading them off. It was...
I was on a couple episodes. I only said a couple.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what I want to spend my time doing. I'm glad you stopped it.
Here's a 3-star review. Dee is an Apple iPhone maximalist. Tribalism is bad.
Are you?
Yeah, for the most part. And when it comes to my mobile phones, I'm going Apple all the way. I'll never once again wake up on a Thursday and my phone's not working. and that has never happened with an iPhone, but it did happen with 2 Android phones. So
my last Pixel just died on me out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't. At least Apple's like, hey, this is gonna die if you don't give us a little bit more money. Here, click the button on how we can make it easy for you to pay us that little bit more money before this dies. And I'm like, you know what? I appreciate your game. I'll pay you $2 a month extra now. So, anyways, here's another one. This one's actually honest. Hey, there's room to grow, guys. Room to grow. Great chemistry, great knowledge of the space, definitely locked into current events. Although the content is solid, the cussing periods within every episode, I think they're talking about me, are slightly irritating. I've moved
I
on
think
from
people
this
like the
podcast for
headlines,
time
D.
being.
People really like the headlines. Like Tim
I know they
came
do
into
because-
the podcast because of the headlines.
But do you like doing
Bro,
it?
No,
I actually
hate
like doing it because it's very fun and I get to give like real insight. Like, yeah, this article said a bunch of stuff, but this is the reality. I've always loved headlines, but then again, I'm a kid that grew up with CNN running in the background my entire life. So like, it's just there. Like news is something that's just ingrained in me.
The thing that I've come to notice, I guess I know we're wrapping up, but this is I think a pivotal point that people should understand in terms of how media works these days, or at least especially like how information flows within this ecosystem. Like it's not from headlines. Like where you get good information
Is not
from headlines.
But they
It's like,
think it is because that's
yeah,
what
like
they've
media
been
sources get
taught.
the most watered down, marketed, paid for garbage of what's happening.
But they're never gonna know that, Corey.
None of it's
But like the tech
don't
stuff
want
that's interesting, that like people like drama, Corey, and they're not getting that from
cool.
tech
They're not going to get it from here.
updates.
They might get it from here. I might start a fight with a motherfucker. Oh, I'm sorry. We just got 3-star for the cursing. By the way, the guy who gave us the 3 stars name is Family Guy 2K13.
I think I know who that is. I know who that is.
You guys don't run a family show. I would know. My username is Family Guy 2K13.
He made that in 2013. He must have been watching Family Guy.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that happened in space, guys. We're gonna keep it moving. But give us a star review depending upon how you think the show was for you. If it's 5 stars, boom. If it's
I
1
can't wait.
star,
I can't wait for the person that's like, they had boxed a keyboard.
yeah. I thought this was the Bitcoin podcast. Yeah. Hey, smartass. You got to use a keyboard to use crypto sometimes. So boom, back in your face. All right.
You know who's making all this stuff? People who use keyboards.
Oh,
Developers.
I'd be curious to know, like,
Joe has a custom keyboard. He has multiple.
yeah, I'm thinking about the security of custom keyboard. I mean, it's not going to be an issue. That's like a stupid attack vector that's never going to work unless you're like specifically targeting one incredibly high net worth individual.
Yeah. I've also thought about doing the TMZ of crypto. Sometimes I like to appeal to the lowest common denominator of society, you know, just to be like, ooh, Eric Voorhees was spotted with Michelle Obama.
You know, if somebody put like a hardware wallet,
he? Huh?
So if somebody put a hardware wallet into a keyboard, that would sell like hotcakes to the keyboard community.
It's not that hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
Find
like,
out on the next episode. No.
See this strip right there?
Yeah.
That LED strip? Swap that out for like the PCB of like a ledger. And then, I don't know. People would probably buy it. Like, it's silly money in keyboards
Jesse,
as well,
you have so
too.
many good ideas, bro. You
I gotta run.
Oh, yeah, Corey. Get out of here. Shout out to her. Oh, yeah, shout outs. Tiana Taylor. That's Tiana Taylor. I know who that is. Shout out to Yazzie Beats. Jazzy Beats. Yahtzee Beats. Oh, man. Rachel McAdams. You do you. Penelope Cruz.
Dang.
Margot Robbie. Shout out to you. Eyebrows. Oh, wide smile and long neck. Oh, Zoe Saldana. You're still doing it, girl. All right, guys. I think that's all we got.
Yep.
All right. That's it.
Play.
Play.
Outro.
Outro.